back to WeTalk Sidewalk, the first ever WeTalk Sidewalk. We're in Birmingham, Alabama, here in the Magic City. I'm your host, Ondi Timoner. I am a filmmaker who decided to start this show when the Me Too movement started. I want to tell you a little bit about what this show is. It's a traveling talk show for and about the women shaping our culture. It can be artists, filmmakers, entrepreneurs, scientists, technologists, people in government, all kinds of people have been on this show. We travel and we try to encapsulate the character of the places that we go. So today we're at the Sidewalk Film Festival, the great Sidewalk Film Festival. Yes, and that is thanks to the incredible efforts of two badass women who should both be up here, Chloe Cook and Rachel Morgan. Yeah. They saw this show at Sundance, and they said we need to bring it to Birmingham. And I was just talking with someone, a beautiful woman who drove in from Huntsville to see the show today and to be part of this event where we bring women together across all of these different aspects of our culture to really look at the work that they're doing. And she said, how did this start? And I thought we should probably mention that it was born at Sundance. I was on a women in film panel a couple of years ago when the Me Too movement was kicking off, and there was a women's march going on, and the women's march of Park City was going on, and we were all on this panel, and it was Me Too, and all of the victimization that has happened to us in this industry and across many industries. Finally, people were speaking out, and I just was sitting there thinking, this is going to play out in the press, it's going to play out in the courts, but what about we do? What about all the women that are shaping our culture, who are literally leading our path forward? And what about celebrating our work and bringing us together to really talk about it? And that, I felt, was the positive contribution I could make. So that's the beginning of WeTalk, and now we launched it at South by Southwest 2018, and Dell Technologies has actually been our partner from the very beginning. And so I just want to shout out, they're great partners for creative people. I also want to thank Majority and Interloper Films and the Roxy Cinema and all of our partners, and Farah White, who's just been producing, just because she does. It's what she does. So she's producing WeTalk Sidewalk, and welcome to the first ever WeTalk Sidewalk. Yeah. All right, without further ado, I'm going to introduce my spectacular panel. All of these women are, I just look up to every single person on this stage. So first, Carolina Moneja. I am such a fan. We saw your movie recently, Queen of Lapa. It's your directorial debut, which it's remarkable. The verite, I've made a doc or two in my life. And this film is really, really worth seeing. We're going to show you a clip in a little bit, but first about you. So you started as a ballet dancer, a professional ballet dancer, and did some dramas before landing on this incredible story of Luana Muniz. Born in 1958, 9 years old, she started turning tricks, right? Mm-hmm. And at that point, transgender was punishable by death. And even wearing clothing of the opposite gender was, I think, a crime. Tell us about what drew you to this story, and how did you end up getting so ensconced and so deeply entrenched? I mean, you brought us into that world. Yeah.
Thank you for having me, and thank you, Sidewalk, for showing the film. So I grew up in Brazil. I was born and raised in Rio de Janeiro. So when Luana was transitioning at the age of 9, in Rio, if you were to put lipstick as a man, you would be probably murdered. And throughout the decades, she really created a revolution, and she's really an activist to make not only sex work be an occupation, which now legally is an occupation, so you can get arrested, but she also was really fighting to make sure that the trans population was not going to be harassed, murdered, and she created a safe house in Rio, which is the house that we see in the video. How do we get to this? So Teddy Colagos, who is the co-director of the film, and also my husband, I have family in Brazil, my whole family's there. So we would go to Rio all the time, and he, as a photographer, would notice something that I wouldn't notice, that come 6 o'clock at night, all of the trans sex workers are on the street just with, wearing basically nothing. And you just see little kids and families going around like nothing is happening. So he thought it was so interesting, that economy, and he wanted to take some photos. So we're like, okay, let's figure it out who owns this block. And then that's when we learned about Luana. And we were blown away by the activism, by everything that she has done for Brazil, really. So we went on a quest to find her. She didn't want to talk to us. I left a note for her saying why we wanted to meet her, why did we wanted to take photos.
Why did she not want to talk to you?
Because a lot of other news organizations and like from the BBC to Vice had reached out to do things with her, and it's always very exploitative. It's always just exploiting the sex work industry and just trying to be really taboo, and she was tired of it. She didn't want to do anything with anyone anymore. So I wrote a heartfelt letter and left with some photos that Teddy has taken throughout his career to her doorman and just begged him, just please give this to her. Mm. So we walked back to my mom's house, and then immediately the phone rings, and it's Luana, and she's like, well, when you watch the movie on Sunday here at this theater at 7:30, you understand why I'm doing this voice. She goes, come back, I want to talk to you. So we rushed back, and she opened the door, and in Luana's fashion, her towels fell down, she's half naked, and it's like, who are you? Let's talk. And immediately we knew that was beyond just photos. We had to film her and do a documentary about this house. So she gave us the blessing. We came back to the United States to get some grants. We got no grants. But in 2016, my other job was taking me to Rio for the Olympics. So we're like, we need to do it. With grants or no grants, we have tons of friends in the film industry. So someone gave us a camera, someone gave us the sound, and we're like, let's just do it. And we went back there, and it started with, you can be in the house for one day. We're like, okay, well, one day is not gonna really take it. We're like, we take it. So we're in the house for one day, for 12 hours, and we all became best friends. So like, come back the next day.
That is the thing, right? You need to prove when you're in production that you're willing to follow the muse and that there's no limits to what you'll do to capture and to really shine a light on what they're doing. Do you think it helped that you were a man and a woman partnership in this?
Yes.
In infiltrating this world?
Yes, especially, so this house is a safe house for 32 trans sex workers that live in that area and they work in that area. So just in itself, a house with 32 people, just like, wow. I think because of, being a trans, it was interesting to have a male and a female energy in the house. And yeah, it was very important. Also, I would have never been able to do this without Teddy.
And you said your other job brought you there for the Olympics. What's your other job?
I am a curator for a company called Lululemon.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you think one day you might make a film about dancing?
Yes, we have done some documentaries in the past about the dance company I used to dance for that brought me to the United States, like way back in the day. It's out there. I think so. I mean, it's such an interesting industry. It's a very tough industry and a very problematic industry, the industry of dance, even ballet. And probably if you guys follow the news, all the scandals right now at the New York City Ballet.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
I want to ask you another question, but I want to share with the audience a clip so that people know who the Queen of Lapa is.
Right.
Ou que passa por mulher ou não passa, porque existe uma diferença entre feminilidade, beleza, o exotique. Eu não gosto de ser exótica. Exótica é jacaré do papo amarelo. Posso até ser exótica no palco, fazendo um número exótico. Mas não vem me chamar de exótica, não, porra. Todo mundo quer ser bonito, lindo. Todo mundo quer ser Angelina Jolie, Brad Pitt.
Eu, infelizmente, na vida, eu consegui coisa, mas também sofri algumas maldades, entendeu? Então, tipo, pra mim foi muito dificultoso.
Mas
tá na
lamento
corda
te dizer que não foi só você.
Sim.
Pra você ser esse ser humano maravilhoso que você é hoje em dia.
É.
Eu tive que passar pelos infernos que passei pra ser esse ser humano que sou hoje em dia. Eu tive que ir lá no inferno conversar com o diabo e ele vinha até a mim também, me dizendo que eu não ia conseguir sair do mal, e eu falei pra ele, eu vou te mostrar que eu vou sair do mal, porque eu sou do bem. Eu acredito no bem. Ele falou, então vamos ver quem vai vencer. Eu falei, quem vai vencer é Deus, é Jesus. Eu tenho Jesus no meu coração e o Espírito Santo de Deus.
Yeah. That's one of the most important aspects of the documentary, is an incredible character too. She has passed?
She has. So she passed away 6 months after we finished shooting.
Wow. Did she know she was going to?
No, it was very sudden. No one knew. She just went to the hospital, and it was very fast.
Do you think that the Association for Transgender People and Rights, I'm probably butchering the name, and all of that is going to continue now that she's gone?
I don't know. Also, when we were filming, we impeached our president in Brazil, and a lot of things happened to the city of Rio de Janeiro specifically because of the Olympics. It basically went bankrupt. So she passed. That house still exists. Some of the girls are still there taking care of it, but even that area where the house is now has a curfew. So at 7 p.m., business closed. So I would imagine that you wouldn't have a lot of business being, on the street. So a lot of the girls left. We keep in touch with a lot of them, and they're trying to get the square by the house to be called Luana Muniz Square. But yeah, unfortunately, we are going through a very similar political climate in Brazil that we are here in the United States with our president, and the violence against the LGBTQ community has increased. So I'm not sure. I'm not very optimistic.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing your work with us, and I think the film is playing the festival, right?
Yes.
So you have to see it.
Right here.
And it really,
at 7:30 p.m.
there's great survival tactics in it too. I mean,
Yes.
Luana has a lot to share in
She
terms of how to survive hate crimes and so forth.
Yes.
I was hoping, I want to show the entire movie. But yeah, there's an amazing section where she describes how she got herself out of it. That's worth going, among many other reasons. Dr. Rachel Raimist, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Ondi.
So good to have you here. Known you for years. Super Sidewalker, one of the OGs.
It is true. I am on the board. I'm on 3 juries. I'm a mentor at the Stowe Lab. I'm giving a talk at the ARC Stories. I'm
In fact,
very
she's
busy
got to
this
run.
sidewalk. Yeah.
We're going to talk
Right
for 2
after
minutes
this.
and she's out. She's also a very successful, up and coming, but also already successful television producer, television director, and a producer, and an academic, hence the doctor, PhD and multiple PhDs. And
4 degrees, 1 PhD.
yeah, I don't even know. I don't know what's going on. But lately, she's directed Queen of Sugar.
Right, Queen Sugar.
Queen
on
Sugar.
OWN.
Oh, Queen of Lapa. Queen Sugar. It's a fair. There's a lot of queens going on here. There's a queen panel. And Greenleaf.
Correct, GREENLEAF.
And upcoming.
Yeah, and I just booked my first network show shooting in October.
Yeah.
And it's a good one. It's a big show with lots of great things happening.
Also, we're both Directors Guild of America and very involved. But then there's another organization you're part of that I don't even know anything about, which I'm very curious about, called the Crunk Feminist Collective.
Yes,
What is
my
that?
crew is the Crunk Feminist
We all want to join.
Collective. So we've been blogging for over a decade, and we are scholars, activists. So if you follow Professor Crunk, Brittany Cooper, Dr. Robin Boylorn, who's here still at the University of Alabama, Susanna, who is at Georgia, she's in Atlanta. So there's a whole crew of us, and we started with a blog, and now we publish books. The Crunk Feminist Collection is out now. So you'll see me wearing a shirt around this weekend that says, "This is what a crunk feminist looks like." That's what it's about. And really, that's how I got Queen Sugar. Was I had written a blog post on the Crunk Feminist website where I made the first documentary about women in hip hop a very long time ago called Nobody Knows My Name. And then Ava DuVernay, who I had known through hip hop, had done My Mic Sounds Nice on BET. I wrote a blog post on the Crunk blog, and then Ava commented and was like, "This is dope, like, thank you for writing this. I think we know each other, sis." I was like, "We totally know each other." And that's how we reconnected after years, which eventually led to her inviting me to direct Queen Sugar, which is crazy. I've been a professor at the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa. So to go from Tuscaloosa, Alabama to the set of Queen Sugar on Owned. It's been an amazing ride.
And I'll ask you this, what do you think what are the skills that overlap between documentary directing and TV directing?
Yeah, certainly at the heart of it all is a powerful story. And so both Queen Sugar and Greenleaf have incredible characters, real story with real depth. That's what drew me to documentary, was the power of everyday people's stories. And I think that, Ava DuVernay and many others have done a great job of taking people that we know in our families and our lives and putting them on screen in ways that we probably have not seen these families and these stories. So I think there's a lot of honesty and truth, what I would bring in documentary storytelling into the kinds of television shows that I've been very lucky to direct. In terms of skill sets, I've been a professor for a long time. I didn't realize how much being a professor was very similar to being a television director. You have to move mountains without anyone on the mountain really feeling moved. Students are the same way, right? It's pushing, it's pulling, it's guiding, it's really reading people and seeing, okay, what do you need to move from where you are to where I need you to be without you feeling completely disrupted or pulled out of your element, so that you can do your best work. That's the job of both a professor and a television director.
You told me that nothing rankles you at all as a television director, because after teaching, forget about it.
Professors, we don't make a lot of money. We don't necessarily have a lot of resources. And so my worst day as a TV director, on set, people will be like, oh my goodness, it's been 6 hours and we're on lightning hold, we're leaving time. And then I'm like, okay, so we can do this, we can do this, we can do this, but we're gonna get the shot. I still have a crane, I still have a wet down, I still have actors that went to Juilliard. Like, my problems are not that big, and I will make my day. Like, I will not be late. That's a big thing in TV, is being on your schedule. I'm used to doing things with no money, with paying for it myself. And so the problems, it is challenging, it is hard, it is a lot of responsibility. The first day I went on the Tech Scout, and I get out of the van and I go to here, and then I turn around and like 100 people are behind me moving. And I was like, give me a minute, and then, okay, the master shot's gonna be from here, we're gonna shoot this way, we're this way, this way, this way. And I was like, okay, they are, as soon as I move, they all follow me. So I better not just wander and look. I need to know what I want from the minute I get out of the van, because I am leading this crew of people who are moving on my word. And so that was a quick learning lesson of like, okay, be clear, because students will just sort of meander and follow you, but this crew is about making your vision happen. And so that was a quick adjustment I had to make of like, okay, be ready from the second you get out of the van.
Yeah, I directed Maplethorpe last year, and it was kind of like another experience with documentary filmmaking. We're following the muse. There's a humility to it. There's a pressure when you're directing scripted that you're supposed to know the answers right away. So you get out of the bus and you're supposed to know where the master is. But it can be, and you can read many people say this, to say, I don't know, is one of the most powerful things you can say. Like, I don't know, give me a second.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a shot that I wanted over a basketball hoop for a scene that will air in September, and the UPM heard me say over the basketball hoop, so immediately he's like, cranes, and I didn't budget for a crane day, and this, and this, and this, and I just said, give me 10 minutes, and I'll let you know exactly what I need, how I need it, when, where. I said, I need 10 minutes. Yes. And then I was like, okay, I talked to all the guys, I said, all right, do I need a ladder? How big is the jib arm? Can I put the dolly up here? Like, what can we do? And then I just went back and said, yes, I'm gonna get my shots over the basketball hoop, and I don't need a crane. Like, right. We're good.
After
use the crane on a different
yeah, you can change your mind, too. You can change your mind. And when you're making a documentary, you need to look all around you all the time and see where all the angles are. So when you get to be doing scripted, docs are incredible preparation. Let's take a look at a documentary you produced that I think is wonderful, called The Art of Healing.
Yeah, that comes out of the University of Alabama, a group of really talented students. Shelby Haddon, who just got an MFA in directing at UT Austin. Greg Kubik, who's a working cinematographer for Texas Crew. William Mason, who's now an editor on Ball in the Family, that Facebook show. So all the students who worked on this was a documentary class I taught at University of Alabama in conjunction with the UA Honors College for a program called Art to Life.
All right, let's watch it.
I forget some things, but all of us forget something, but major things I do not forget, and I don't see why I have been diagnosed with such, but I didn't see anything wrong myself.
In spite of her having Alzheimer's, she is still just as determined as she's ever been to do anything.
I may not be much, but there's one thing about it. A friendly smile and a handshake don't cost a dime. You always remember it.
Oftentimes people with Alzheimer's, they experience anxiety and depression. So one of the things that we're doing with the art therapy is that we're helping alleviate that, at least for the time being.
My biggest battle now is to keep from being angry,
Okay.
because I stay bitter most of the time.
What we're seeing here is the person behind the disease. We're not seeing a diseased person.
The line's not straight.
I've enjoyed this venture in my life more than anything I have in the last probably 5-6 years.
Thank y'all. See you next week. Okay, thank you.
Where do you see yourself in the next 5 or 6 years?
I'm almost afraid to answer that. I don't know. I have not even thought 5 years down the road.
The human identity, it can't be stolen by something like Alzheimer's disease. There's nothing that can take away the person.
And just remember, if you don't remember anything else, a friendly smile and a handshake don't cost a dime.
I often refer to documentaries as empathy bridges. You know, that seems like certainly follows suit right there. And we're going to talk more about it, but moving on to this beautiful woman here to my right, Farah White.
Yay, hello, hello.
Welcome to WeTalk.
Thank you.
Native Texan from Dallas, produced, directed, has starred in over 40 different productions, 6 films that premiered at South by Southwest, 1 that you produced at Sundance. But one thing that I know for sure about Farah White is she refuses to be pigeonholed. So though she's joining us on the Docs in a New Spotlight panel, Farah, about half your work comes from acting, right, as well?
Yeah, yes, I still do. I get half my income from on camera and just various things, because I think if you live in a community and you want to do this full time, you do have to do a little bit of everything. And yeah, I don't want anyone to tell me what I have to do and that I can only do this or that, because I love doing a little bit of everything. So they said, what can you do with this production? I'm like, well, what do you need? Because I can probably do that.
People say, oh, do you produce your documentaries too? Oh, are you shooting your documentary? Did you edited that documentary? It's like, yeah, because nobody gave me anything when I started, so I just had to kind of do it all. Right. And in a way, when you get to be directing, if you know what everybody does, and you know how to do it, then you can speak to them with empathy, right?
Yeah, very much so. And some of I do these day in the life productions that are people that have been injured wrongfully. It's just me and 2 guys, and we go and we get these families to open up to us and let us in their most secret, private, vulnerable places. And doing that in one day, I mean, there's probably 3 of the days I remember crying at lunch. I didn't want them to see me because it's so brutal, especially when it's a child. you know, it's just things that you're just like, Jesus, I should be so grateful. Why am I pissed that my coffee wasn't hot enough earlier? Or why did I, you know, am I mad that I spilled my water in the car? That's nothing.
I bet you were thinking that, Rachel, when you're on set and people are complaining about this or that.
It's nothing. Yeah.
We're not gonna, we're gonna.
Exactly.
Okay,
like I
we're
did
camera
eat
black
breakfast,
on this
and then
part,
the
so she-
AD, very funny, is like, bring her a banana across everyone's walkies. Like those are the kind of
Yeah,
like
emergency.
first world issues.
Where were
Mayday,
you last
mayday.
year when I was underground? with
Yeah,
one of you?
yeah, right,
All
exactly.
right, but before we get into more dark things, Farah,
Oh,
let's look at a hilarious clip of Farah in action in front of the camera with quite a little group that we
yeah, that's
managed to
fun.
dig out.
It's about women killing people's ex-husbands, so that's
Which is
not
what
dark
we're
at
gonna get
all.
into next. That's next time. This is just a warm-up.
And that would have been the end of it if it weren't for Danielle.
So even though I'm surrounded by my household staff all day long, I just feel so alone.
Well, usually something triggers these episodes of despair. What happened?
Well, I was watching this movie, and this man is in a hotel room and he wakes up with a hooker in his bed, and she's dead. And he immediately gets on the phone and calls 10 friends. And it just got me thinking that if I woke up with a dead hooker in my bed, I wouldn't have anyone to call.
Thank you for sharing, Marcia.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
I don't know that we really need to plumb the depths of that clip. I think we get it.
Yeah, you figured.
What's going on here, though, Farah?
This shoot in particular, that's Frederick. I named him. He was 4 hours old. I do some work for the Humane Society USA, and we had to go land on an ice floe to where the closest landmass was, Newfoundland. And we were there, and then we got the word that we had to leave because the fishermen were coming. And, you know, all of that's still legal. So if you're unaware, I mean, do not purchase sealed products. Look, really look. And I understand that, you know, there's some tradition and so forth involved with it, but I mean, it's like a puppy without arms and legs, you know. But and then here, this is what you do when you are producing a FedEx Walgreens spot and someone has gotten the wrong permit. Because you've got big trucks in the parking lot and 40 people inside, and there's no way in hell you're going to let them shut you down.
All right, so to wrap up our panel and make sure that we all interact, let's talk about what you do when the unforeseen and unexpected happens, which is something that you cannot survive as a documentary filmmaker without being able to float in and out of a place, being able to flow. And I was thinking when you were talking, Rachel, about like the flow state, you know, it's the same. You have to be able to be open and to be a conduit, but shit happens, you know? You gotta keep 20 bucks in your back pocket for the gardener, because as soon as you roll camera, they will start blowing the leaves. It will happen, right? Or the construction worker. Yeah. Tell us what happened on any of your productions and how you solved it.
Well, I have a good story. There was this other film we did called Torment in the Hand that showed here at Sidewalk too, and I produced it, and I'm in it. And of course, the moment that we have to shoot the scene, an unmarked helicopter starts flying very close to the house that we are staying in circles and circles. It's like, what is going on? And we're in the middle of the woods. Like, I think they're looking for drugs. Like, I'm sure they're gonna leave soon. So I called the police. The police transferred me to the military. The military transferred me to the army. The army transferred me to the district attorney. And I am just, you know, are they gonna shoot us now? Because no one has a record of who this helicopter is. But after we talked to the district attorney, the helicopter mysteriously left. I don't know still what happened, but it's just that thought of, I don't care who I have to talk to. Yes, I am Carolina, I'm shooting this film, I'm the producer, I don't need permits. And you have never heard of me, but district attorney, fix this, because I have to film this movie that is costing us $3,000 to make, but it's very important. And just owning your sense of urgency and, you know, that you matter, and I do matter.
And also just call the DA right off the bat, I guess.
Yeah, oh yeah, I was like, okay, I know.
Rachel?
Yeah, I mean, in production, those of you who make films know that anything that can go wrong will go wrong. I mean, even the leaf blower thing happened on Queen Sugar, and I was just like, someone please, because the neighbors get annoyed when you rent a house and then episode after episode shoots there, and then they're like, oh, they're shooting? You know. But I think, you know, in terms of you know, on-the-move documentary production, the first and most important thing is safety. So I shot a lot of, before my professor life, I lived the rap life. And I shot a lot of concerts, a lot of traveling with artists. And there was one concert where it was a lot of kind of big LA gang violence. And I saw my other camera person, I saw something about to pop off, and like, she didn't really know what was happening, because if you don't know, you don't know. So it's sort of always, yes, you're looking through the lens and you can't just get stuck here. You also have to be watching what's happening. So I grabbed her and said, look, we're going. She said, going where? I said, under the stage. Get under there now. Just grab your gear and go. We literally crawled under the stage, came out on the back, and then someone I knew from a big record label was there with Nelly, and I was like, hey, we're getting in your car, and like, saved the crew. And then there was a giant, and I actually got a couple photos that I sold to the Source magazine for some money, so I did, it all wasn't lost, but if I didn't know what was happening, we could have found ourselves in very real physical danger. It was several hundred people physically fighting in a concert venue where there's nowhere to go. You're literally trapped. So anything that can happen often will, especially in rap life.
Especially in rap life. And I've been in so many weird situations too, because I do some concerts as well, and it's just someone with a big camera and you got their back. But the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me personally actually just happened a few months ago, and it was my father recently passed, and I had already been hired to direct a commercial spot for this funeral home. So, and it was interesting, because when that happened, and when my father died, I think all my friends kind of came together and they're like, hey, direct this, direct that, and I just suddenly, that week I had 4 jobs, so I had no time to think about anything. And but I do realize the day before we're going to the funeral home that I didn't know it takes 10, 12, 15, 17 days in the state of Texas to have someone cremated. So he was actually still there, because it was a week and a half later. So his body, he was still there, like in the back, waiting for authorization from the state to be cremated. And when I realized it, I thought, oh God, okay, so I guess I just gotta do this. And I guess my attitude is just gonna be, he's always wanted to see me work.
Oh, wow.
He hadn't got to come to any of the other sets. So, but just stuff like that, like you really do just have to roll with it and decide to see the best side of it and just move quickly. And then as we do, I think probably as directors and producers and also humans, we just try to make everyone else feel as comfortable with that as possible.
By being open, I think, as well. I'm sure you shared your insights on, that day, knowing you.
Yeah, I'm either a sharer or an oversharer, or I don't share at all. It's one or the other with me.
But in documentary, I don't know about oversharing, but I think one thing that's worked for me a lot has been just being as transparent as the people that are in front of my lens.
Absolutely.
And another thing I was going to mention is that I got into docs because I thought real life was so much more fascinating than anything you could write. And look, everybody's nodding, and they all do scripted. And I do scripted too, but kind of based on real life stuff. Yeah, there's a certain serendipity that if we can capture it, it's there. And I always say also, 70% of documentary is captured in the camera and 70% in the editing room. So it's 140% actually required for a documentary. Because in the editing process, you have to kill your darlings, right? And that's where the writing happens as well. And if you don't have the words that you haven't written by capturing them with the camera, you just don't have what you need in the editing room. You didn't have a chance to go back?
I mean, editing was a nightmare, and bless Teddy's heart for doing such a great job. When we thought, okay, this is the cut. And like, no, it's not a cut. This is the cut. No, that's not a cut. And really trying to respect and keep her legacy alive. So yeah, it took a long time.
Yeah, it's like the dark journey of the soul, they say, as a part of Act 3 or going into Act 3 in a normal screenplay. It's also like part of the creative process, where you just are like, I don't actually know anything. I don't know how I ever made a movie. I don't know what's going on. And then you figure it out, right? It's that pressure. and then something better happens, right? Any final insights for everybody? Any recommendations for anybody? Dr. Rachel Raimist?
Sure. I mean, I think that I am proof positive that it's never too late for anything that you have dreamt about, wanted to do. I mean, I was tenured at Alabama until 1 week ago. I gave back my tenured position. I'm still teaching there as an adjunct online, but that's the path that I thought I was on. I'd make small films with my students and become full professor, and sort of that was going to be life. And then you get the phone call that never happens, but then it happens, where it's Ava DuVernay going, "Girl, what are you doing? Like, it's time. Time for what?" And it literally changes your whole life. And being half of 90, that's the birthday party my son threw for me this year, half of 90. And half of 90, I've realized anything I want to do is possible. You just, with faith, inspiration, a lot of sweat equity, and hard work. It's not easy, but what an amazing life that we can tell stories and work together and travel the world with cameras in our hands. So whatever you have your eyes on, just try it. What do you have to lose?
Yeah, I agree tenfold. So I was a professional, but I was a professional actress for 12 years. And then, you're on so many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of sets, and you're seeing things. And I owned my own business before that. So I'm seeing, there's some of us artists that maybe can handle the papers and the numbers a little better than the others. And it made me go, you know what, I could do that. I could actually do that. I'm actually kind of good. I mean, this next production, do you want my help? Do you want me to help you? And then you do it, and then I'm producing, right? And so then that's X amount of years. And oh, you need money? How much money do you need? Okay, well, I know people with money. Let's see how we're going to make that happen. But then now with directing, and I just want to thank Sidewalk. I wrote and directed 2 features last summer, actually last August, because my dad was sick, and I knew, okay, I got to do this shit now, or it's not going to happen.
2 shorts.
And I did 2 short films that I wrote and directed that I had in my head forever, and they're both here at Sidewalk.
Yeah, when are they playing?
One is tomorrow morning at 9:30, and the other one is Sunday afternoon.
All right, we're getting up early again. I also am supposed to mention that I have some documentary thing playing here that's supposed to be a secret. I don't know what the protocol is. I have a secret mystery block or something. The Ondi Timoner mystery block is Sunday. I believe it's at 12:25. It's such a mystery. It's so shrouded in mystery. I don't know where it is.
Screening is on the schedule.
She's back. I was looking for this information to not make a fool out of myself up here. 12:25, somewhere on the schedule. And I'm going to be showing, can I say what I'm showing?
Yes, yeah.
I'm going to be showing some clips from an upcoming documentary that I'm in the process of making called Chrysalis, about the opioid crisis. And we just showed these clips in Congress a couple weeks ago. So we're getting to share them with you, and it's going to be also a talk back because I really want to have feedback. Anyway, I cannot thank you enough for for coming to this panel, for coming to WeTalk, for sharing your wisdom. Carolina, Rachel, and Farah. Please give them a round of applause. Thank you. And as we do here in Magic City, we're going to have some more champagne, some more shrimp and grits. Sorry for all of you watching on the internet. You can get your own champagne and shrimp and grits if you want. And we're going to be back in 15 minutes to keep talking. Thanks.